I welcome everyone to my channel. And again, stories from life. A novel that will change your life. Martha Shields' right-pointing arrow, hope for happiness. He even jokingly offered not to say anything about leaving Jake. But Claire was not going to leave so quickly. She'll stay at Jake's office for as long as it's needed. Although Jim Gordon could take over all the affairs even tomorrow, and this would not affect the work of the pony in any way. She pushed open the heavy door and picked up the shopping bag from the floor. She even had time to buy some things. For the future, most of all. She liked these things because they were not business suits. As she made her way to the bedroom, Mrs. Sanchez ran out of the kitchen to meet her. "Oh, Mrs. Anderson, it's you." And I was already afraid that I did not close the door and another woman came in. "Woman?" Claire asked, confused. "What woman?" "The kind that Mr. Anderson is talking to in his office right now." Claire froze. Her heart trembled with a bad feeling. "Talking? So Jake is home?" "Yes, ma'am. He's been home since lunch." It's clear. It was stupid to say that. She doesn't understand anything. Why is he talking to them? An alarmed look appeared on Mrs. Sanchez's face. "They're nannies. I thought you know." The package fell out of Claire's hands. The bag followed him. "No, I did not know." Ah, she swallowed the sudden lump in her throat. "Is my husband in the office?" "Yes, Mrs. Anderson." "Oh, my God. I didn't have to tell." "Nothing, Mrs. Sanchez. Everything is fine. Go to the kitchen. It's all right." Mrs. Sanchez turned around uncertainly and walked away. Nanny. So he decided to hire a nanny. Unable to believe what she was hearing, Claire shifted her legs with difficulty. This is after all his oaths and assurances. The cabinet door was open. The questions Jake asked only confirmed his guilt. Every question heard from behind the door became another knife that stabbed into Claire's heart. He again did not say a word to her about his intention, again deprived her of the right to choose. How could he do this? Didn't he realize that this act hurt her so much? She already knew the answer to her question. Of course I understood. He just didn't care about it. Pain gripped Claire's entire body. He doesn't need her. With his money, he can afford everything. For him, nothing is irreplaceable in life. And now he decided to replace her. Jacob Anderson can buy whatever he wants. He bought a woman to have a child. Now he is buying a nanny. He will take the child from her as soon as he is born. Claire leaned heavily against the wall. Her legs buckled. Why? How could he reject her love so easily? Just as his father rejected his love, as his bride and friends did to him. Now for Jake, nothing in life has value. Everything can be dropped, even love. He himself was rejected so often that he forgot how to believe. Maybe he did not believe that she would stay with him for a long time. He did not believe in her love, so he decided to arrange in advance so that his child would stay with him. Eli Anderson taught his son well. Poor Jake. He will never know what happiness is. But maybe he will never regret it. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she blinked them away angrily. She must immediately go into the office and tell Jake everything that she thinks about his act. She straightened up. She shook her head. No. Why? How many times had she tried to explain to him already? He did not understand anything. And they won't understand. Looking ahead with unseeing eyes. She left the apartment. Get out of his life. She won't let Jake take her baby. This is all she has left. As he escorted the last applicant to the door, Jake was surprised to see a package on the floor in the hallway. Closing the door, he turned around and froze. Next to the package was Claire's purse. Heart nearly jumped out of his chest. What's happened? Mrs. Sanchez. He grabbed his wife's purse and rushed to the bedroom. She feels bad? Need his help? Why didn't she come into the office and say? He froze in the middle of an empty bedroom, struck by a sudden realization. She came into the office, just as he was talking to the nannies. He tossed his purse on the bed and ran both hands through his hair. His heart was beating so hard it threatened to burst his chest. Crap, 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 it's not even 5 o'clock yet. Why did she come home so early? In the entire month they were married, she never left her office before 6. And at 6, he almost had to drag her out of the office by force. Jake expected her to be at work, which is why he decided to invite the nannies home. Mr. Anderson? Mrs. Sanchez appeared at the door. Did you call me? Was my wife here? Mrs. Sanchez threw up her hands. Yes, sir. She was very upset when she found out that you were talking to nannies. Excuse me, sir, I told her that. I thought she knew. Nothing, Mrs. Sanchez. I myself am to blame for everything. No, he wouldn't let her run away like that. Yes, he made a mistake again. Not the first, and perhaps not the last. But she loves him. This he knew for sure. Why doesn't she trust him? Why can't he believe that he loves her and that she is dearer to him than anything in the world? Suddenly, a long obvious truth was revealed to Jake. He loves her. There could be no doubt about this. And now he can't even let her go. Surely you don't know where she might have gone? He asked Mrs. Sanchez. She just threw up her hands. I didn't even know she was gone. Maybe to the office? Jake shook his head. Maybe, but not likely. I'll call there. Don't worry. Wherever she goes, I will find her. I'll hire the best detectives. For double the pay, but I'll find it. I can help you? Jake considered. You seem to have a brother, a taxi driver. She nodded, and Jake continued. Call him, please. And ask if he can find out if my wife took a cab. And if so, where did you go? Although hardly. After all, her handbag remained here. Yes, sir. I'll call Bernardo right now. He will help. Jake quickly made his way to the office. Glancing out the window, he saw that leaden gray clouds were thickening over the city and it was already snowing. He remembered the weather forecast. Heavy snowfall. Where could she go in such bad weather? No bag, no money? Even without a credit card? He had to find her, and quickly. Jake didn't even want to think about what might happen if he didn't find her. No, he can't lose her, not now. After all, he finally realized how much he loved her. He will do anything to make her feel good. Chapter 12. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Jake stopped the Jeep in front of the doors of Claire's old house. The same one where she lived before her marriage. He was sure that Claire had sold it long ago. The last 10 hours had been a nightmare of non-stop searching for him. Until he found a bunch of keys in her purse. There, on a heart-shaped keychain, along with the keys to their apartment, he saw a yellow key with a red plastic top. The day before the wedding, she gave him this key. The fact that she kept the apartment to herself clearly showed how Claire viewed her marriage. Why pay for an apartment in which you are not going to live? So she knew in advance that their union would be short-lived. So she didn't want to live with him? So she doesn't love him? He lifted his head and looked at the windows. Not a spark. No one looked out into the street to see what kind of car drove up to the house. Not a single curtain moved, betraying the presence of the tenant. To be continued. If you liked the video, subscribe to my channel and press the bell to nothing don't miss.